Stunning new video is out showing inmates making a daring escape from the Orange County Jail last year.
If everyone had an option, no one would choose to go to jail. Do we talk about the dangers of being an inmate or the boredom that comes with getting confined to a place? It's no wonder why many people try to break out of prisons.
Cell phone, they document every move of their escape, showing the inner workings of the prison.
While it is very difficult to break out of jail, several inmates have tried to break out not thinking about the consequences, and some did in the most weird ways. From the inmates that strolled out of prison confidently, to the ones that made themselves garbage just to get away, these are 15 prison escapes caught on camera. Number 15, the mass escape. You don't think prison escapes are new, do you? Because this one happened almost 3 decades ago, and yes, it was caught on camera. But hold up, how did we get here? No, that was not an accident. It was intentional. You see, the driver of this bulldozer was an inmate at Rod Cecil State Prison, Horsens, Denmark. He felt being an alumnus of the School of Correction. No one deserves to be there. And so he found a way to communicate with inmates inside the prison and arranged how things would go from being confined to freedom. His plan? Bulldoze every wall obstructing their freedom and leave them to run to it. It was 1995 when no one thought anyone would be that crazy, I think. But before the prison guards could realize what was going on, they were only left with 2 options: survival or duty. By the time they realized they were not the targets, prisons were already running as fast as a hare on the streets. Again, they got confused and had to choose between going after the inmates or stopping the cameraman from covering their shame by using a palm to cover their shame. Would you blame them, though? Just look at this massive damage done while they were right there. The police officers could only watch for some time, but fortunately for them, they were able to catch their escapees and put them back in jail. Maybe that would count as a consolation, and they would eventually forgive this cameraman who gave us the view of the biggest escape in the history of Denmark. Number 14. Escape for the gram. Yes, several inmates have escaped, but how many did it for the gram? Well, I guess just these 3: Jose Nayeri, Basie Duong, and Jonathan Thieu. If anyone told us this happened, we may not have believed, but fortunately, these guys recorded all that they did and even released it to the public. Nayeri said, "You know what? There's no need to hide," as he smiled at the camera and went ahead to show the prison. After having a moment, the video shows Nayeri lifting a sawed-off bunk bed leg and revealing a previously cut metal screen behind it. He then slides the screen aside before disappearing into a vent, from which his hand soon emerges to give a thumbs up to the camera. The video then shows Nayeri, Basie Duong, and Jonathan Thieu in the bowels of the building's plumbing system, with Thieu squinting at one point from the light of the cell phone. The skyline of downtown Santa Ana is then seen on the video as the inmates reach the roof of the jail. It's still unclear how the inmates were able to get off the roof, but the video suddenly turns to a series of pictures of the men enjoying freedom, including one photo of Nayeri on a beach. Wait a minute, that man standing in the background is not an inmate. He is believed to be a taxi driver identified as Long Ma. The inmates allegedly kidnapped and forced him to drive them north, which he did, but for some reason, Nayeri and Thieu disagreed on whether to take the man's life or let him be. Unfortunately, they wouldn't enjoy their freedom for long, as Duong later turned himself in to the authorities. For over a week, Nayeri and Thieu were still on the run, but they were recaptured eventually in San Francisco and sent back into jail. Number 13. Garbage time getaway. These 2 inmates, Shane Joe said and Willie Driver, may crack you up. That's because from the start of this footage to the finish, everything just seems unreal. Back in 2018, the 2 went out with a deputy in the evening for a trash detail in Houston County Jail, Georgia. The whole activity looked normal at first, and it would only make you wonder if the 2 started their plans right there and then. But soon, the whole story became a different one, as the 2 left the angle with the officer, but only the 2 returned. And as soon as they got back, they just ran. While you would think the police officer was tied up or something, there he is, strolling right behind them and calling for a backup. Was it because he thought they wouldn't escape, or was he part of the plan? While we don't know his deal, Willie was soon captured by the police while Saip remained on the loose. The police started a manhunt for him that night, and the next morning they got a call from the neighborhood about a suspicious guy that broke into an apartment. Saip was not seen in the area for a while despite that the police searched the area 3 times. As he could no longer hide, he turned himself over to the police and was captured about 2.5 to 3 miles from the detention center. Number 12. A narrow escape. Don't think of it just the way it sounds, this is crazier. This amazing escape happened in the town of Izberbash in Russia's southwestern Republic of Dagestan. This is 25-year-old super-thin crook Rustam Sharudinov, who was placed in custody on charges of theft. But then he asked himself, why sit in jail when you can escape? He then realized that the serving hatch might be large enough to escape through, and he seized the opportunity at about 4 p.m. when the guards were not paying attention to make a break for it. You may think that was crazy, but for someone like Rustam, it was just too easy. If you know anyone who knows about Rustam, they'd tell you that he's known to squeeze himself into flats through windows. So what is a food hatch? The officers felt bad about this and stated that disciplinary action was taken against the wardens who were on duty at the time, especially as the escape bid was visible on security cameras that obviously nobody was looking at. Immediately, the guards noticed that Rustam was gone. Both police and the military began to look for him. But let's leave his recapture aside. Do you think it would be impossible for Rustam to slip from the tiniest of holes? Maybe he could be kept in ADX where it is almost impossible to escape. Number 11. A flight to freedom. See, if you think you've seen it all, you should grab your popcorn and sit back because you're in for a long ride. These two dates took things to another level, and I mean above the ground level, literally. The inmates, Hudson Barbeau and Danny Provençal, were caught on camera trying to escape by climbing a rope to board a stolen helicopter. If you think the pilot was in on it, you're wrong. He was only hired for a tour, but once the helicopter was in the air, a gun was pointed at his temple, and he was ordered to fly to Saint Jerome Detention Center in Quebec. When he got there, Danny and Hudson were ready to escape with their ropes, and did they? Yes, they did. Not long after the escape, someone claiming to be Hudson Barbeau called a radio station and said, "I don't want to cause any harm to anybody. I'm not a killer. I never did anything bad to an innocent. I know that. The escape wasn't the best thing to do, but I didn't want to stay in prison anymore. I am ready to die, if you asked me." That was exceptional. But their jailbreak was short-lived, as they were arrested some 30 miles from St. Jerome Prison. Number 10. Twice the charm. You know it's one thing to escape once, but it's crazy to try it the second time. This inmate escaped twice, even using the same method. Rocky Marquez was an inmate who got tired in jail and decided to pull a fast one on the prison guards. In Phoenix Prison, he switched wristbands with another inmate whom he had befriended and who had a similar complexion and build. And just like that, he walked out of jail. He didn't even have to run. That is simple and easy. But he was arrested in Detroit after the U.S. Marshals tracked a car they believed he was using to the city. And even after that arrest, he just felt he could do it again. He switched ID wristbands with another inmate who was about to be freed on bond. Marquez then simply walked out of the Wayne County Jail. And the craziest part? No one noticed until 5 days after he was gone. Don't know where they took Marquez after he was captured the second time, but I'm sure he's somewhere where he won't be able to attempt such again, because if this guy has every day he would keep trying without running. That's insane! Number 9. A fall to freedom. This is for those who are scared of heights. This guy jumped out of a building that is over 12 foot tall just to escape. How crazy. His name is Schwartzlow. He was initially arrested on suspicion of second-degree sexual assault, strangulation, and battery. He was taken into custody in Orfordville and was getting ready to be questioned and booked. Following the arrest, he refused to be interviewed. But as he was being led to the jail, he suddenly changed his mind, unknown to the officers that he had other plans. As soon as the officer left him unattended in the locked interview room, something unexpected happened. This guy handcuffed, opened the window, and yes, he jumped. Soon the police came back into the room and he was shocked to see him gone. Outside the jail, he was seen running as fast as he could, but he couldn't run for long as he was eventually captured 4 hours later. Number 8. A moving escape. Here we have another jumper. But if you have trust issues, you may not even believe this is real even after seeing the footage. In a scene that could be taken for a movie, a handcuffed prisoner broke out of a moving police vehicle in Brazil. Add to it the fact that the man was handcuffed, and he remarkably still managed to escape from right under the eyes of cops. The daring act was caught on camera, and the video features the man jumping out of the police car as it was moving down a street. This incident happened at Alagoa Nova, Paraíba, Brazil, on December 28, 2021. At first, when the man fell from the van, he stayed to see if it was real. He then ran as fast as he could without the cops noticing. But how did he even manage to do it? How was he kept alone in the van that he got out without anyone noticing? As per local reports, the man managed to open the chest door of the police car and escaped. He then ducked down in the middle of the street after jumping out of the car and ran as fast as he could. This was mainly the reason why the police did not notice his escape in the rearview mirror, and the car went ahead without the prisoner. The police noticed the man's escape only after they arrived at the police station and did not find the prisoner inside the car. Number 7. The slip. Now for real, this move is one of the moves you only see in movies. I mean, people broke their bones to slip out of a handcuff, but this one right here happened in Waukesha, for real. Amber Gonzalez was arrested and accused of theft and was kept in a detention room. The video shows Amber pressing her phone with her free hand like she was chatting on WhatsApp. But no, it seems she was begging Google for an escape plan. Soon, she was seen trying to slip out of her handcuffs. While doing that, she would go back to her phone to see what she's not doing right. Eventually, she got it right, and off she went. But where did she go? Her place of arrest. You see, Amber was arrested after she allegedly took a cell phone from a hotel cleaning cart at the Baymont Inn, 2111 E Moreland Blauvd. After she broke out of her handcuffs, she searched around for keys and found a set hanging on a door handle, enabling her to open the door and escape out of the police station, taking the set of keys with her. Darting through backyards in the neighborhood to avoid police, she eventually wound her way to the Tobacco Outlet Plus Groceries convenience store on Pewaukee Road. There, she used her cell phone to contact a man, who picked her up in a white SUV. Together, they went back to the Baymont Inn, where she performed oral sex on him for $80. Waukesha police had been tipped both by tobacco outlet store employees, who told them she had been picked up by a man, and a Baymont staff, who said Amber had returned shortly to the hotel, the same place she had been arrested for theft earlier. As you must have expected, she was taken back into custody, and this time she was watched 24/7. Number 6. A fast escape. What is the fastest escape you've ever seen? I bet this one is faster. This one is like a scene out of an Indiana Jones movie, only that it is not a movie. This guy, captured at God knows where, was brought into jail with 2 police vehicles, and everything started well. The police officers got out of the vehicle in a friendly manner, like they were having a dialogue, unaware of what was to happen in a few seconds from there. But this inmate was carefully calculating the time the garage door was going to close up, and in 3, 2, 1, he ran as fast as he could. This left the police confused, because before they knew what was going on, the door was already closed. They were there pacing up and down without being able to think straight for a while. But what exactly did this guy do to be scared of facing judgment? This guy, known as Michael Maldonado, was arrested during a traffic stop and brought into the Porter County Jail. Maldonado wasn't properly restrained when the squad car pulled into the garage, which is how he was able to escape so easily. And according to reports, that was his second escape attempt on that day. After his first attempt, he was placed in hobble restraints as a precaution. Police noticed the restraints were loose before arriving at the jail, but failed to properly restrain him. And once he was able to run off the second time, he was only seen on an outdoor surveillance camera running away barefoot and wearing handcuffs. He then went on to steal a vehicle to make his escape. After this guy was caught, the police would have had their eyes glued on him. Now, it's time for today's subscriber pick. Have you ever wondered what goes through the minds of inmates in jail, especially the ones kept in solitary confinement? Imagine this inmate seated alone in his cell where everything is done, including his excretion. If you have ever run out of the toilet for how much you couldn't stand the stink of your toilet duties, you should feel a little bit of what this inmate feels. But even as bad as the toilet may be, any inmate would beg their brains to teach them how to escape through the sink's tiny hole. Do you think improving the poor conditions of inmates would reduce prison breaks? Let us know in the comments section. Number 5. El Chapo's Escape. We all know El Chapo. His name is all the introduction that you need. Whenever illegal drugs come to mind, El Chapo's name rings a bell. But if there's any other thing this man is known for, it is prison escapes. And yes, he did it twice. While he was being monitored on CCTV cameras like other inmates, El Chapo managed to escape. But before this escape, his first escape was in 2001, when he escaped with the aid of prison guards that he had bribed with a lot of money. That night, about 18 guards were questioned for the escape, and some were eventually arrested. He was then captured again. You already know the story, so let's skip to why we are here. Again, in 2015, while everyone was relaxed thinking escape was impossible, El Chapo did it. Within the time the guards gave him his daily medicine and the time of his disappearance, nothing was off. He was seen pacing up and down in his cell and soon went into the shower like he was looking for something. Soon he came to his bed and removed his sandals to return to the shower, but guess what? That was the last time anyone saw him in the prison. It took a while before anyone noticed El Chapo was gone. When the guards went to his cell, they found a small opening in the shower area of his cell. According to photos and videos that have been released from the apparent escape route, there is an opening about 2 square feet believed to be through which he escaped. From there, a ladder led to a tunnel that was made out of PVC pipe that was just about as tall as El Chapo himself, roughly 5'6". The tunnel extended for about a mile underground and featured an adapted motorcycle on rails that officials believe was used to transport the tools used to create the tunnel. The photos show the tunnel extending into a home outside of the prison's property, and there was a similarly small exit found in the floor of one of the building's rooms, where the drug lord is believed to have left the tunnel and entered the free world. That's crazy. But hey, it's El Chapo. He's currently in the maximum prison where he can't possibly escape right now, or do you think anything is possible? Number 4. Escape in trash can. These 2 inmates, Justin Stumler and Jeremy Hunt, reduced themselves to trash just to escape. They were working in the jail's kitchen when they hid in food waste trash cans taken outside for disposal. As soon as they got there, they took off their prison clothes and ran away. Some witnesses saw the men and notified a corrections officer, and the hunt began. It wasn't long before the police hunted down Hunt and his friend, and just like that, they added to their long punishment. There were initially charges of several burglaries, motor vehicle theft, and drug possession, but now they have to face charges for their attempt to escape. Was it worth it, though? Number 3. A poor disguise. If you're eating currently, make sure you have your food swallowed because this case may make you laugh and angry at the same time. This inmate known as Shorty, named Clavino da Silva, also attempted to escape from jail. He was a Brazilian gang leader who was arrested for his crazy activities around town, but somehow he felt he should be free and live like every other person. He thought of what to do for a while, and the only solution that came to his mind was his 19-year-old daughter. He had asked the poor girl to visit him in jail, and he disguised himself looking like her. He wore a silicone mask and a long, dark-haired wig. He planned to leave the girl behind and walk out the prison's main door in her place. But prison officials said the nervousness displayed by Da Silva, known to have given him away. Wait, who escapes and leaves their daughter behind? After the failed escape bid, Da Silva was transferred to a unit of a maximum security prison. But soon after he got there, he was found dead as he committed suicide in the prison. Number 2. Escape through the doors. While a lot of people would choose to use an exit where they won't be noticed, this woman used the doors. Tori Smith was arrested on charges of aggravated battery after a confrontation with her boyfriend. She was at the temporary intake center waiting to be processed when she found a chance to escape. Surveillance video showed that a New Orleans Police Department officer walked into the intake center and left 2 doors open. Smith saw the open doors and walked out. She ran outside and managed to get over the locked front gate. Outside, she ran as fast as she could so that no one could catch up with her. The portion of the surveillance video that shows Smith's escape through the gate is blurred so that the sheriff's office does not reveal to others how she got out. Before then, she had been booked into Orleans Parish Prison several times before on numerous unrelated charges. But on this day, she felt she wouldn't stay, and so she ran. It was a prison nurse who alerted deputies to Smith's escape as they began to look for her. What do we say about this? Negligence or what? Number 1. Help from the inside. This woman is probably the face you'd see on the covers of this story, but she was not the escapee. These 3 inmates, Aaron Clark, Ricky Sina, and Victor Apodaca, can be seen in this footage opening doors with a key and walking out casually like nothing happened. How did they even get the key in the first place? Well, as you must have guessed, they got help from the inside from Serena Dodson, who was working as a detention officer at the time of the escape. Another footage from inside shows Dodson nervous and fidgety while watching the surveillance. The police, after watching the video, questioned her and found out that she helped the inmates escape. She was located and arrested by the Lubbock County Sheriff's Office soon after the incident, and of course through her, the inmates were found. It was really brave of her to do so. These inmates were men being held on several charges, including aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, fraud, theft, and more. That's just one of the crazy happenings that go on in jail centers. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.